On the spot, National Film Board's up-to-the-minute report on what's going on somewhere in Canada. This week and every week, NFB camera crews are on the spot where things are happening, recording the varied and colorful life of Canadians. Tonight, we invite you to join a Film Board crew with Fred Davis on another location. Right now, they're somewhere off the coast of British Columbia, having just taken off from Vancouver's Sea Island Airport. The route they're following will take them up past Shemu Island on the western tip of the Aleutians, over to Tokyo, the capital of Japan. On the way over, they're going to film what goes on in the aircraft. This is the inside story of a flight across the Pacific. Now we turn you over to Fred Davis.
We're up about 2,000 feet now, so I guess we can dispense with this safety belt.
Ladies and gentlemen, ships at sea are required by law to carry life jackets and lifeboats. This ruling also governs the airlines. Life jackets are located...
No, an airliner is just like a ship at sea. International regulations demand that certain precautions be taken on every flight.
Life jacket before?
No, I haven't.
You just put your arms through these loops and your head through this hole.
There are two stewardesses on this particular flight. This young lady, helping passengers familiarize themselves with life jackets, is Dolores Cope. She hails from New Westminster, B.C. But life jacket drill is only one aspect of the many precautions taken in modern-day flying. Before the plane left the ground, it was carefully checked by swarms of technicians who tested and inspected every part of this complex machine. It's getting dark now, and the passengers are settling down for the long trip ahead. This will be a good time for us to wander around a bit. First, we'll go forward and meet some of the people who keep our ship in the air. Captain Bob McGinnis is the chief pilot on our flight. He's been on this run for 3 years now. Excuse me, Captain, I wonder if I could have a word with you.
Certainly.
I wouldn't want to be interfering with your flying.
No, I'm not doing the flying at the present time.
You're not? Well, who is?
George, our automatic pilot.
Oh, when do you use him?
We use George after we've reached our cruising altitude. George holds the aircraft on our predetermined course.
Well, tell me, I've heard about this automatic pilot, but I've never seen one. What's he look like?
This is George here.
Oh, that's what it looks like. I guess I was expecting some sort of a mechanical robot with arms. How does it work, Captain?
Well, George is a complicated little accessory. However, it is an electrically driven gyroson which holds the aircraft flying straight and level.
Oh, it's a gyroscope. Well, does that mean that if a gust of wind should come along and tilt a wing down, would that straighten the aircraft up?
Yes, George would bring the aircraft back up into flying position again.
Is wind a vital factor in piloting an aircraft?
Yes, wind is very important. A strong headwind will slow us up, and a strong tailwind will give us a good ground speed.
Could you give me an example of just how much your speed would increase with a tailwind?
Yes, we have flights coming direct from Japan to Canada with good, strong tailwinds.
You didn't have to stop to refuel, eh?
No, we direct Japan, Canada, non-stop.
What about in the case of a very heavy headwind? You're fighting against it. Isn't there a danger there of running out of fuel?
No, we have an hourly fuel check which we make, and also we keep a very close check on our PNR.
What's this PNR, Captain?
The PNR is our point to which we go before we make up our mind which we'll carry on to our destination or return to our starting point.
What would happen in the case of the weather changing back at your starting point?
Well, we have alternate airports which we could go to, which we plan on going to if the weather goes bad.
I see. So that no matter what happens, you always know exactly where you're going to get and got something to spare, eh?
That's right. We always carry enough fuel to go to an alternate airport.
I noticed when you pointed out the automatic pilot before, this is a very bewildering maze of instruments here. What are they for, Captain?
Some of them are for the direct control of the aircraft. However, a lot of the gauges are just for reference purposes, just to let us know how things are going.
What about these handles out here in front?
Well, these are our throttles. They're just the same as an accelerator on the car. They control the power to the engine.
On the subject of altitude, I understand you fly at different levels when you're going and returning from Japan. Is that so?
Yes, that's so. Westbound, we fly at even altitudes, 8, 10, 12, or 14. And on the way home, we fly at odd altitudes, 9, 11, 13.
Why is that, Captain?
Well, that's to avoid oncoming traffic. The same idea as driving your car. You have to stay over on the right-hand side of the road to avoid oncoming traffic.
Oh, I see. Well, thank you very much, Captain, for your time. Now we'd like to see just how a ship like this is navigated. Ray Taylor is one of the Empress of Tokyo's navigators. His job is to know where the ship is at any given moment and to plot the direction it should take to reach its destination. Ray, tell me, how do you figure out where we are at any particular time?
We have 3 primary aids to navigation. First, we have the radio, we have celestial navigation, and radar fixing.
This celestial navigation, is that using a sextant like they do in the Navy?
It's quite similar.
And how about this radio business? How would you find your position by means of radio?
Well, I think I could show you best with a diagram here.
Okay.
This will represent the coastline. We have 2 radio stations, one here and one here. We are somewhere out in this area. One radio direction finder will show that we are along this line. We don't know where we are along this line except that somewhere along that line. Now the other station will show that we are along this line. And where the 2 intersect would be our fix, definite position.
Well, how often do you figure out this position?
We find our position every half hour.
Oh, and what is the approximate mileage between Vancouver and Tokyo?
It's 4,600 miles to Tokyo.
4,600? Gee, that's some hop. I never realized the Pacific was that large. How long will that take us?
It will take us 19 hours on this particular trip. We should arrive in Tokyo Monday morning about 10 a.m.
On Monday? Well, that's 2 days from now, isn't it?
That is right, but we're going to cross the international date line.
And you mean to say we're going to lose a whole day?
That's right, but don't worry too much about it. We'll gain that same day coming back. It's entirely possible on the way back that we'll leave Tokyo on schedule at 10 a.m. and arrive in Vancouver at 10 a.m. on the same day.
Oh, well, don't feel so bad about that, as long as we're compensated for it. I suppose that sort of thing, though, would create problems, wouldn't it, for crew members? Has that anything ever happened unusual to you in that respect?
It certainly does. Last Christmas Eve, I left home about 11 o'clock for Tokyo, and we arrived in Tokyo on Boxing Day. No Christmas dinner.
You missed it completely, eh?
That's right.
Oh, that's very interesting. Well, thank you very much, Ray, for all your explanations. And now it's getting on to mealtime, so we'd better get back to our seat. One of the important functions of a stewardess, like Miss Connie Sear, is the preparation and serving of meals. With trips lasting over 24 hours, there are a lot of hungry passengers to be looked after. Now let's find out more about the duties of a stewardess. You girls seem to be very talented in the kitchen. Do you come by that naturally, or is that part of your training?
We do have a bit of training in it, but I suppose if you're a good cook, it helps.
What about in the case of rough weather, Miss Sear? How do you keep these cups and saucers from splattering all over the place?
It's rather difficult at times. However, we usually put off serving if it's too bumpy.
I suppose in a case like that, though, the passengers wouldn't be too interested in food anyway, would they?
No, hardly.
Apart from the preparation and serving of meals, what other duties are a stewardess called upon?
Oh, a stewardess has to take care of all needs of the passengers. In fact, sometimes it may be a little beyond the call of duty. In fact, we had a baby born on board some time ago.
Oh, where did that happen?
It was on a trip from Hong Kong. A Chinese-American couple were coming back to the States, and this hadn't been planned on for another month. However, everything came out fine, and when they first stopped in Shemya, the doctor who examined the mother and baby found them so well they were able to continue their trip.
Well, that's quite an unusual situation. What nationality would the baby be in a case like that?
Well, that's debatable. The father is the naturalized American, Chinese, and the baby is born aboard a Canadian ship, and the first port of entry is American.
So you'd almost say it could have three nationalities then.
That's so.
Never a dull moment, eh? Well, thank you very much, Miss Sear, for letting me interrupt your work. It's a long flight from here to Tokyo, and each passenger has his own way of passing away the long hours. For some, it's a good meal and a nap. For others, something to read from the ship's library. It might be a game of cards, or conversation running deep into the night as our ship hurries on to the land of the rising sun. It's been a long night, but we've passed through the Arctic darkness now, and our ship is rapidly approaching its destination. You know, it's always an exciting thing to be approaching a foreign country. There we have our first glimpse of the coastline of Japan. And those of us here in the aircraft who are experiencing this for the first time are certainly feeling a tremor of excitement, wondering just what we're going to find down there when we land. There's an interesting-looking promontory down there. From this height, it almost looks like it might be a sandy beach. Although at this time of year, even in Japan, I don't imagine there's too much swimming going on down there. There's a strange formation of small islands just inland from the coast, making an unusual pattern on the water. There's a scene that reminds me of a contour map with low-lying hills of a volcanic origin. There's a small village near this coastal range, just a few miles inland from the ocean. Even from the air, Japan looks different. Another fertile farm valley is passing beneath our plane now as we move on towards Tokyo.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're now arriving at Haneda Airport in Tokyo.
Well, that's all the time we have for now. We're coming in for a landing, and it's on safety belts again. Our next stories will come to you from Japan and Korea, so join us again next week for another on-the-spot presentation.